Anthony Del Toro, good morning. Hector Gomez, good morning. Lots going on in the world of sports. Lakers on the brink of elimination. Portland on the brink of elimination. Tonight, Washington can be eliminated by Philadelphia. Knicks can be eliminated by Atlanta tonight. Grizzlies can be eliminated by the Jazz tonight. And your late game. Thank you, TNT. Thank you, NBA. Mavericks, Clippers. Somebody going up 3-2 in that one. Jerry Lauder, good morning. Anthony Del Toro. Yes, Astros have won 3 in a row, 4 out of their last 6. Beautiful. Keep it going. Astros have the most runs in baseball. No one's scoring more runs than the Astros.
Now, Chris Duel.
Oh, my goodness. Things are heating up in the NBA playoffs, and the networks, Commissioner Adam Silver out on a ledge because LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are on the brink of elimination. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, as we dive into the NBA playoffs. Lots of NFL news, Major League Baseball, Astros on a roll, which is beautiful. After that 4-game losing streak last week, Astros have now won 3 in a row and 4 out of 6. We'll talk Astros. We'll talk everything sports this morning. But first, let us introduce her saltiness, direct from the Bonneville Salt Flats. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, what is happening this morning?
Oh, just putting on my best street clothes to come to work today, because apparently that's all you need to do the job. Now, whether you take care of business once you get there, that remains to be seen. But if you're Anthony Davis, I mean,
wow,
you seem more valuable than LeBron at this point.
You know what? It sure looks in that series. And you allude to a lot of things there, a little foreshadowing there. If you heard the first thing Shannon said, she'll tell you what street clothes, the new meaning of street clothes here in a moment. But yeah, Phoenix beats the Lakers 115-85 by 30 points.
Close.
My God. LeBron left early. He didn't even.
We'll get into that.
He didn't even wait around. It's like, nope, I'm leaving the court. I'm the king. I don't need this. I got things to do. You guys, you fellow Laker teammates of mine, you finish out this game, and we'll talk later because I am the king. As much as people hate LeBron, and I know half, maybe more than half, hate him. I don't, but a lot of people, if they are bounced and the numbers, Shannon, a lot of times we make predictions and you go chalk, and the numbers and the trends and NBA history will tell you Phoenix has a very excellent chance to win this series now, up 3-2 with a potential Game 7 to be played in Phoenix. LeBron, even if you hate him, sports villains, if he's your villain, villains are good for sports. If he is ejected and the Lakers are ejected in the first round, to me, Shannon, you look at that Western Conference, and God, I sure hope the Mavericks, and yeah, I mean, you talk about Anthony Davis and his health being a linchpin in that Lakers series, without a doubt, and you brought this up yesterday, Luka Doncic tonight in this series against the Clippers, as goes Luka, so go the hopes of the Dallas Mavericks in that series. But man, if LeBron is gone in the first round from these playoffs, I think the NBA playoffs lose a lot of luster.
I think they certainly do. I think if you're the Suns, you almost, this is like your finals almost. I mean, you can't beat a better organization, prior championship winning team, LeBron James, who of course is, as you said, kind of the villain. And he's a villain because he's great, right? I mean, he is the best player in the league. He's the face of the league. but he does stuff like this where he quite literally turns his back on his team with like 5 minutes left in the game and walks off to go, I guess, put on his own street clothes. And he's done a couple of other things recently, whether it be online or at a, I don't know, tequila party that people haven't quite agreed with. And usually he's pretty good about staying under the radar during the playoffs, right? He always has, he always tweets and Instagrams like right before the playoffs, I'm going into zero dark 30 mode. That's just not the way it is this time around. He is still very much active on social media and very active on the LA scene when he isn't playing games. He's more active there than he has been in games, and LeBron is not the LeBron that came into this league. He can't do it all alone anymore, and we are seeing that right now with LeBron and the Misfits doing as much as they can. This almost feels reminiscent of LeBron and the Cavaliers, right? When he just kind of like carried them to the playoffs and to the finals to face the Golden State Warriors. And he's just not that young anymore. He can't do it for that long. And this is only round one.
Yeah.
What happens if they somehow squeak by the Suns here?
Well, part of the theory is, and you started this by talking about Anthony Davis, if he gets healthy, and, there's some people saying LeBron has a high ankle sprain. So many people who know about a high ankle sprain say he's not going to be fully LeBron 100% in these playoffs at all. But if they got Anthony Davis back, there were some people saying even before this series, Phoenix playing the Lakers early, that was their best chance because the Lakers were banged up. LeBron is banged up and Anthony Davis is banged up. So, maybe, to your point, if the Lakers can get out of this series somehow, and they've got 2 elimination games now that they have to win, game 6 in LA, then win a game 7 at Phoenix. Then if they can get Anthony Davis healthy, then, who really scares you in the rest of the West? I mean, Phoenix, to me, even though Utah had a 1-game better record, and the Phoenix scares me more than Utah does. So, we will see how that plays out if it goes that far. But as of right now, I mean, we have no definitive indication that Anthony Davis is coming back. You mentioned though this loss and the chance of LeBron James being bounced. He has lost consecutive first-round games for the first time in his career. Never in LeBron James' career has he lost 2 in a row games in the first round. And this is the first time in LeBron James' career that he trails a first-round series after game 5 or later. He's never trailed this late in a series in the first round. This is uncharted territory for LeBron James.
There's a first time for everything, isn't there? It's for a first you may never want to have, but he's nonetheless, it's where he is. And you mentioned Anthony Davis, aka AD, aka the Brow, but he's no longer going to be referred to as those names and or nicknames, thanks to our man Charles Barkley. The TNT broadcast never disappoints, even TNT late night especially. Going on that West Coast time, and he's just the gift that keeps on giving, Charles Barkley. And here's a little snippet of last night's broadcast.
Anthony Davis, I told you the Lakers can't win this series. Forget about the championship. They can't win this series without street clothes.
I'm not even. You want to explain that?
I call him Anthony Street Clothes Davis because he's always in street clothes.
You ain't got to explain it, Chuck.
Wow. Wow. And Shannon, the second I heard that is going to stick.
Oh, it's for sure.
That is going to follow Anthony Davis for the rest of his career and beyond his career. 10 years after he retires, he's going to walk into an arena and say, hey, it's Anthony Street Clothes Davis. Boom.
Listen, if he doesn't already have some sort of clothing line in the works,
oh my God,
get it going right now. All the marketing, it's laid out for you perfectly. You might as well lean into it. Everyone now who should the Lakers somehow press on, he will not hear the end of it.
He'll be at the free throw line, street clothes. And if he's not in a game, If he's in street clothes on the bench, street clothes, oh my God.
Does he have to dress out now, whether he's playing or not?
Oh. But you're right. If you are his advisor, Shannon, the best advice is own it and lean into it and start your own street clothing line, because there's no Charles proclaimed it. It is spot on. It is the perfect nickname for Anthony Davis, and it is not. You want the nickname the Big Fundamental, Tim Duncan. You want the nickname the King, LeBron James. You don't want the nickname in the NBA or in any sports, street clothes.
Yeah. Or even like I could also see him being called highly questionable. Because he goes out there and he warms up and he's, TBD, game time decision. And then he does what he does and walks out in street clothes.
Mark the date. It was the night of June 1st. This is the morning after. It is Wednesday morning, June 2nd at 6:20 in the morning. That soundbite is the shot heard round the basketball world. Anthony Davis, you are from now on and forever known as Anthony Street Clothes Davis.
Now, we just had the Hall of Fame induction and all the speeches. If this dude goes into the Hall of Fame, Charles Barkley has to give that speech now, right?
You would think. And Anthony Davis should, barring injury, look at what he's done when healthy. He goes for 30 plus in this series. He's the real deal when healthy, but he's often wearing street clothes, and he did last night.
He and LeBron are that team, and when one is without the other, we saw it in the regular season, so this shouldn't be a shock to anyone, right? Because they both had their struggles. The Lakers were playing really well to start the season, and then they went into the play. They had to be in the play-in, because they just fell so far off when both of them started suffering injuries in the middle of the season. So let's not be surprised here, folks.
Yeah, and it all comes down now to a game 6. When Anthony Davis plays and is healthy, the Lakers seem to have their way with the Phoenix Suns. When he doesn't play, last night, blowout, 30 points. Phoenix wins 115-85 over the Lakers. And Shannon, back to LeBron James for a moment. And I do want to introduce Dave Ayler, our soundscape stylist, here in a sec. We'll get his thoughts on LeBron, Anthony Street Clothes Davis, and the Lakers. But I am a LeBron defender. I find the LeBron hatred a little irrational. Yes. Can he be a diva and a drama queen? Yes. However, never in trouble with the law. By maybe the greatest basketball player ever. Okay, I'll give you Michael Jordan. So even if it is Michael Jordan, maybe the second greatest basketball player ever. And if you're into Bill Russell or Kareem or Tim Duncan, God love you, then let's say LeBron James is one of the top 5 basketball players of all time. For him to be that great, for him to give millions of dollars to kids in Akron when they're signing contracts with kids in Akron and Cleveland, Ohio, saying, if you get good grades and go to college, I will pay for your college. I'm LeBron James, a good husband as far as we know. You never see him running around with other women. Generally a good man who was thrown into this league at the age of 18, and people dubbed him the king, and I guess he dubbed himself the king at the age of 18 and pretty much lived up to it. So I defend LeBron James whenever people hate on him, but I must tell you, last night when he walks off the court with 5 minutes to play, I look at other leaders like Tim Duncan, like David Robinson, like Roger Staubach, like Troy Aikman, and a leader does not walk out on his team. And LeBron walked out on his team last night.
You just mentioned all the wonderful things LeBron has done and continues to do throughout his career. And I did not hear teammate. And teammates do not turn their back on their teams, no matter what the score. You shake hands with the other team when the game is over.
Yeah.
Dap them up, whatever it is you do. I don't know if the NBA has gone back to allowing them to do that. They probably do it anyway. But you hang around and you then walk off into the locker room with the rest of your team, keeping their head held high because you're still in it.
Yeah.
And you're still the defending champs.
And you're their leader.
And to walk off like that, first round, It's not like it was an elimination game. You still have that shot. You're going back home to LA. Anthony Davis still questionable, but that question means there is a shot he will come out and play. For you to just turn around and walk off like that, and then we have his post game reaction, which we'll get into later, which almost surprised me that he even showed up, because the way he walked off that court, you would have thought that he would have just hopped in his car and your airplane, or just sat on the tarmac until the rest of the team showed up.
Well, yeah, and you
to take him back to LA.
Yeah, you wonder if LeBron would even like take a private plane back to LA and not get on the team plane because he's got those resources. Before we go to a break, and on the other side, we've got the high five play of the day, and we will give you the poll question, but he is back. He abandoned us yesterday. In fact, the boss man, Brian Gann, had to come in and do Dave's job. He didn't abandon us. He was called to duty at WOAI, which is the big 50,000 watt news talk blowtorch in San Antonio. Dave Ayler, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Chris. How you guys doing?
Good. Now, are you happy the Lakers are on the brink of elimination?
I could not be happier in my life. This is probably one of the happiest days of my life, seeing LeBron just crying and being a big baby.
What? So you're in the LeBron hater camp?
Well, I'm just tired of the national media, sucking up to him. They just changed the name of the league to the National LeBron Association, right? And just get it over with.
But it won't be as fun now if he's bounced. What,
yes,
we're gonna be Donovan Mitchell fans? Ooh, Donovan Mitchell plays tonight. Woo!
The highlight of the series will be LeBron getting kicked out. That's and he's a big baby. He's not even a team player. When does a team lose as a team? Just get off the court and just go home.
I can't defend what he did last night.
What he did.
I can't defend it. I defend him a lot. I can't defend last night, Mr. King, Mr. LeBron James. All right, so much going on in the world of sports. Big Ben Roethlisberger says, "Oh, that was my idea. Whoa. My pay cut. That was me." So we'll talk about that. Coach Tom Brady, is Tom Brady about to add coach to his resume? We will get into that. The 3 playoff games last night. Damian Lillard set a franchise playoff record. 55 points last night for the Portland Trail Blazers. Not enough. They lose in double overtime to Denver, 147-140. Denver takes a 3-1 lead in that series. Brooklyn closed out Boston last night. So now it'll be Brooklyn versus the Milwaukee Bucks in just a few days. We'll talk about the 4 playoff games tonight, the last one being the one I really want to see, which TNT. Don't they know that I have to wake up early? That's a 9 o'clock. That's going to start after 9. They'll start about 9:15. Clippers, Mavericks. We'll get into all of it. The Mavericks are Shannon's team. Coming up, the high five play of the day. We'll tell you the poll question as well. Also, to talk NBA playoffs with us just after 8 o'clock, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Before that, a longtime voice of the Texas Longhorns, Mr. Bill Schoening. We love talking hoops and more with Bill, so he joins us in the 8 o'clock hour. We are with you till 9. He's Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. He doesn't like LeBron. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. She doesn't like what LeBron did last night. Neither do I. With you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. David Valles says Brooklyn will win it. More likely if the Lakers are out of it. Just please, God, don't let Kawhi win it. See, and that's one of the things I don't like. The Lakers getting bounced. Does that make the path easier for Kawhi and the Clippers? I want as many obstacles as possible to try to stop the Clippers. I'm going to get some coffee.
Dave, I just sent you an email with some audio.
Woo, we got video. Woo!
What'd you get on the last hole, Birdie? Bryson would never.
Thanks, you too.
Hello, Clint Proctor. 1 day left of school. Eric, I saw what you wrote, and did that game? I remember that game, but it was so long ago. Was that in overtime? I'll have to Google that. 171 to 166. Spurs 171, Bucks 166. I have a feeling Doug Moe might have been the Spurs coach at that time. March 6th, 1982. And that was double overtime. Okay. Double OT. Triple OT. Triple overtime. Gervin gets for 50. Mike Mitchell gets 45. 14 for Mike Bratz. Wow. That's wild. Stan Albeck was the head coach of the Spurs. Stan just passed away a few months ago. I've talked to his son, John Albeck. Wow, wow, wow. That's crazy. Yeah, back in the Doug Moe era, coming out of the ABA, and Stan Albeck, subsequent to Doug Moe. Yeah, Spurs with Gervin especially. The Spurs were run and gun. Gervin didn't play defense. Gervin would just shoot. Yeah, John Williams, I see what you say about Luka. Man, they need him tonight. And that's not looking like a series, maybe for either team, certainly for Dallas with Luka hurt, that Dallas could come back and win 2 in a row. Elimination games, 6 and 7. Dallas really needs to find a way to get a win tonight so that they can play game 6 with house money on their floor. So, Shannon, before the high five, I guess we'll do the poll question.
Sounds good.
Good morning, Steve DeRocco. Steve DeRocco, The Rock. I woke up, Steve. I saw you tagged me in a Barry Manilow video for his new tour dates in Las Vegas. Might have to do a road trip, man. I'm just saying. Might have to go to Vegas. My headphones are tangled. Welcome back on a Wednesday, midway through the week, a short week for a lot of people. So it's already downhill from here. Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. It's the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. Lots going on in the world of sports. We talked about it. Maybe the biggest story last night in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns annihilate the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are without Anthony Davis, who, when we played you the audio, and I imagine we should play it again, and we probably will, last night on TNT, Charles Barkley coming up with a new nickname for Anthony Davis of the Lakers, Street Clothes. Anthony Street Clothes Davis was in his street clothes last night. LeBron walks off the court early with about 5 minutes to play, and the Lakers are now on the brink of elimination. They trail 3-2 in that series. Game 6 and a potential Game 7 both would be elimination games for the Lakers. Suns, meanwhile, will play with some house money in a Game 6 to try to close that series out. Astros won last night over the Boston Red Sox 5-1. Jose Altuve, his third leadoff home run of the season. Pitcher Luis Garcia threw a career-high 7 innings for the Astros, who have now won 3 in a row and 4 of their last 6. Now, the bad news last night for the Astros, the Oakland A's won. So the Astros, had the A's lost, could have leapfrogged ahead of the A's for first place in the AL West. Instead, because the A's won a late-night West Coast game, the Oakland A's maintain a 1/2 game lead over the Astros in the AL West. Astros will try again today, and who knows, before the night is over tonight, the Astros could move back into first place in the AL West. In just a moment, the high five play of the day. But Shannon, the situation in the Lakers series pretty much motivates our poll question for the day.
Oh, yeah, because now things are heading back to LA for a Game 6 as LA is down in the series 3-2. So with the Lakers now on the brink of elimination, we're asking, how will the series versus the Suns play out? 3 choices today: Suns in 6, Suns in 7, Lakers in 7. And right now, half of the votes are going to Suns in 6, with others believing it will go to a Game 7. And that is split as far as who could win that one.
See, I have a feeling, Lakers coming back to Staples Center. I have a feeling the Lakers are going to put up a fight at Staples Center with or without Anthony Davis. They say this, there's an old adage in the NBA, Shannon, the hardest game is the closeout game. So for Phoenix, a team that wasn't in the playoffs a year ago, a team that wasn't in the playoffs for the last 10 years, obviously it wasn't these players for the last 10 years, or Monty Williams, their head coach now. But man, your task as the Phoenix Suns is go to the Lakers' home floor at Staples Center and close out LeBron James, probably Anthony Street Clothes Davis, and the defending NBA champions on their floor. That's not going to be easy. Even if Street Clothes is in street clothes for Game 6, it's still not going to be easy. I have a feeling Lakers win Game 6, and then Game 7 back in Phoenix. Phoenix takes a Game 7 on their home floor.
That's your vote. Yeah, I went with Suns in 6. Just because the pressure aspect, right? You're probably at this point forcing AD to get out of those street clothes, to play at home in Game 6, to force a Game 7. But you just mentioned, like, the Suns for the last 10 years have been really a laughing stock almost, if it wasn't for the Knicks, who kind of took that number 1 spot from them. So I feel like there's no pressure for them at this point, right? I mean,
Good
even
point.
with like Chris Paul, like, kind of being iffy and will they, won't they? I mean, he hits a 3 last night and you would have thought it was a winning shot in Game 7 of the finals with that reaction from that crowd. I mean, they are just like happy to be there and everything is on the up and up. So I don't feel like that team is playing with any pressure. And so they're having a lot of fun with it and they're able to get those good looks. And they, the Lakers, again, they're coming off that championship year. They've got the big names. They are the favorite, whatever, the beginning of the year to come in and repeat. All the pressure is on them, especially when they're playing on their home floor. I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns came and played similar to how they played last night in LA, and you see LeBron walking off the court, and this time, in fact, getting in his car and just driving home and starting that off season early.
Exactly.
LeBron and the Misfits.
Woo! LeBron and the Misfits. All right, we will get more heavily into the NBA. We'll talk some NFL football. Number of stories involving the NFL that have broken since we last convened and overnight. We will get into those. Major League Baseball as well. As I mentioned, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, who will now be our NBA analyst throughout the NBA playoffs. He's been kind enough to continue to join us on Wednesday mornings just after 8 o'clock. Mr. Bill Schoening, the voice of the Spurs. We'll talk a little NBA, and more with Bill. But we love doing this. Somebody always deserves a high five every morning at this time in the world of sports, usually, although sometimes we stray away from the world of sports. We won't do that this morning. We'll keep it in the world of sports. It is time for the high five play of the day. And high five, not just the name of the segment, but a place Shannon Salty Sweeney can be seen throwing axes, playing laser tag, having a burger, having a margarita, or just plain having fun at 2 locations in the Austin area.
Yes, one in Lakeway, one in Anderson. And it's a great place to spend your hump day, especially during the NBA Finals, because there's no shortage of TVs to be had at either location. But on a Wednesday, you've got half-price arcade games and all-day happy hour. So shoot some hoops while watching hoops and enjoying all-day happy hour at High Five. Today's High Five goes to one of the queens of tennis, because there are many. But Miss Venus Williams, who I believe probably had the ultimate mic drop with the media of 2021 so far. She certainly gets my vote. Of course, a lot has been talked about Naomi after her announcement that going into the French Open, she was not going to speak with the media, her being fined, and then her deciding to leave the tournament. Of course, this is now, leads to other women being questioned about it while they're taking press conference questions at the French Open, Venus being one of them. And this was kind of her response about how she deals with reporters and questions that aren't great ones that to get asked, but yet nonetheless she fields them. This was her response.
No matter what you say or what you write, you'll never light a candle to me. So that's how I deal with it. But each person deals with it differently.
I love it.
You'll never light a candle to me. It's like you all are pretty much the dregs of society, you media people, and nobody can play on my level. So yeah, whatever questions you got, knock yourself out.
I just love it. I mean, we talk about LeBron this morning. That almost seems like something he would say.
Yeah.
And so I love, and the way she said it, the confidence, the subtlety, the dig. I love everything about it. It's absolutely true to anyone who's ever because she gets it a lot, right? Because Serena is arguably the better of the two, right? All those Grand Slams, she's got a little bit more endorsement money, right? She's married to the billionaire, trillionaire, however much money he has.
Yeah, that kind of worked out too for her.
A lot of it. So she's used to taking those digs from the media, right?
Yeah.
As the quote unquote lesser than sister, which she is certainly not. She is her own force. I mean, her name is Venus, for goodness sake. Come on. So that response from her yesterday, it was the number one trending topic on Twitter yesterday afternoon, and rightfully so. Congratulations on just being a badass on the court and just an awesome human being. And to put it so eloquently, I don't think anyone could have said it better. High five to you, Venus.
High five, Venus, and badass very much describes both of the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus. And I'm going to give a subsequent high five to some people. We talked about Naomi Osaka, and that's where all this began. That's where this discussion, this line of questioning for Venus Williams that evoked that reply that got her the high five on the high five play of the day began when she withdrew Naomi Osaka from the French Open because she went into it saying and citing mental health issues and reasons that she wasn't going to talk to the media. Now, a big story yesterday, the leaders of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments say they now promise to address players' concerns about mental health. In an open letter yesterday, those people who head those tournaments, the 4 Grand Slam tournaments, say, quote, on behalf of the Grand Slams, we wish to offer Naomi Osaka our support and assistance in any way possible as she takes time away from the court. She is an exceptional athlete, and we look forward to her return as soon as she deems that appropriate. And that was signed by the heads of the French Open. It's about time, French Open. You started this. Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, and the Australian Open. So what I love about this, Shannon, is while it looked kind of ugly, and it's still kind of ugly, she should not have been forced to withdraw at all. But Naomi Osaka took a stand. She subsequently took a bigger stand by withdrawing from the French Open when they were going to fine her and continue to punish her for not talking to the media. But now what Naomi Osaka has done effectively is raised more awareness among leaders in the world of tennis. And therefore, I think this is going to have a ripple effect across the world of sports and hopefully beyond sports for people who are in positions of authority to have more sensitivity to people who are having mental health issues. So the story continues, and a big development. And I think all credit on this goes to Naomi Osaka for taking a stand.
Yeah, I saw a stupid headline this morning in doing some show prep where it basically said, Naomi, by saying, I suffer anxiety, depression, was one thing, but then she took it too far by saying, I'll take fine, I'll do whatever, I'm just not going to speak to the media, that was crossing a line, basically. And just
what idiot had that take?
I didn't even click
yeah
on it.
Okay,
How
good.
ridiculous is that? I mean, they go that the what is she gonna I suffer from this and I will continue to suffer from. No, she's fighting it, and she's doing it, I think, exceptionally well. I hope she is doing okay, because I know her name is obviously it's out there, right? I hope she's just relaxing and doesn't have the internet within her midst, because it certainly doesn't help. I mean, we all get it, right? Anyone who's ever been on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, like you see it and it's agitating, and whether or not it's there to come after you or not, we all read into things whether or not we should. And she needs to know that she started a conversation that should have been started a long time ago, especially in the world of tennis, right? I mean, we talk about the NBA players who have stepped up and voiced their opinions, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, on the importance of mental health. But the NBA, even though it is, yes, very popular in China, I mean, tennis is very similar to soccer in that it is a world sport. So many high profile people across the world play this game and bring people in to watch. So for her to assist in bringing this conversation to the world of tennis is very important.
Whoever was writing the story that you just cited, criticizing Naomi Osaka for her stand, different people react to different things in different ways. And as we've mentioned, Shannon, even though you and I talk for a living, public speaking is one of the biggest fears of a lot of people. That, when you are forced to speak and all eyes are on you, I remember, and in fact, it's portrayed in the movie The Right Stuff, but it's a true story. Astronaut John Glenn, who, the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962, and he had this big astronaut career. There were ticker tape parades. His wife, Annie Glenn, was deathly afraid of public speaking. She was a stutterer. So she was like dining at the White House with President Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy. All the TV news anchors wanted a sit down with Annie Glenn, the wife of John. She was scared to death of it. And John Glenn, her husband, said, Annie doesn't have to do this. She's my wife. I love her. This is not her thing. I mean, for someone to criticize Naomi Osaka, who admitted to us, hey, I'm having some issues dealing with these media availabilities and interviews, so I'm just going to skip them. And she cited, and it took courage publicly to cite mental health issues as the reason I'm just having a hard time with this. Then I believe it's incumbent upon us, the rest of us, and certainly the media, people who write these stories, to respect that and give her space. And, a pox on you, French Open, for initially fining her and threatening more sanctions, ultimately forcing her to withdraw.
Yeah, she got into tennis because she is really good at tennis, and I would assume enjoys playing the game and playing at this high level. Media is a part of it, but that's certainly not why you get into the game to begin with. If you do, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. It's some people, media and public speaking is just not their thing, and that's okay. And there's plenty of people who want to jump in front of a microphone and a camera and an Instagram and a TikTok account. So, all right. Lots coming up. We'll talk NBA playoffs. We'll talk NFL. Ben Roethlisberger in the news. Tom Brady, a coach on the field this summer. We'll get into that as well. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Welcome in from Twitch, Kaiju Rex 11, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, so I apologize. And I didn't know this, what you just told us. James Earl Jones had a stutter as a child and had to overcome fear of speaking, and now he's one of the greatest orators of all time. I totally agree with you on one of the greatest orators of all time. I call James Earl Jones's voice the voice of God. I love James Earl Jones is in my favorite movie ever, which is Field of Dreams. I love James Earl Jones. I'm glad I'm going to have to learn more about that. I did not know he was a stutterer as a child. That's wild that he would become one of the greatest actors and orators of all time. That is so cool. Okay, Eric Winchester says, maybe LeBron walked out last night because of mental health reasons. We're going to have to open our minds to men's players having the same respect. And I know you're being serious about that, but just the thought of it for LeBron. I think LeBron was just being a bit of a diva, but I don't know that for sure. Not saying it's anywhere near the same, but just throwing it out for conversation's sake. Eric, I get your point, and you make a great point. And let's remember this. Clearly, LeBron James is a competitor. His heart, his soul, his body, his aches. He's 36 now. This ain't easy at 36. So yeah, I mean, he could have been feeling a huge sense of anguish and frustration at the time. So yeah, I mean, and here we are. Here I am in San Antonio, Texas, sitting behind a microphone, criticizing LeBron James the next morning. So you make it your point that we don't always know all the facts is a point well taken. Ralph Balderas, good morning. Luisa Alanis, good morning. Steve Duraco, Clint Proctor, David Valles, Jerry Lauder. I used to do stand-up comedy with Jerry Lauder back at the River Center Comedy Club. Anthony Del Toro, Hector Gomez. Welcome everybody on Facebook. Okay, Shannon says, there's a huge difference between walking out during a live game versus not attending a press conference. If LeBron was having issues, he shouldn't have done the presser after the fact. Well, all right. From YouTube, Mr. Fry Arf or FYI Arf, I'm in the minority in this, but I'm with the French Open on this case. And again, we disagree, but that's the beauty here. We can disagree, and you may bring up a point just like Eric did that's going to make us wonder a little bit. All right, you are elaborating. Media availability is part of being a pro athlete. If you're not ready to deal with them, then get the proper help and then go back when you're ready. Just like training if your body is ready. I would say yes and no, and I totally get your position, but what if someone is a great tennis player and deathly afraid of public speaking, but is a great tennis player? Should that great tennis player, and let's assume it's Naomi Osaka, should that great tennis player not play tennis because they have a huge aversion to post-game interviews? Yeah, Eric, I totally agree. And that's why we're having this discussion. Male mental health and all mental health. And by the way, for Eric and anybody else in here, if you have access to Apple TV Plus, there is a multi-part documentary hosted by Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry that I saw it and I thought, okay, it looks interesting. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. And for some reason on Sunday, I just decided to watch episode 1 and it is incredible. Prince Harry talks about his experience with his mom, even before her death. Lady Gaga talks about her experience and issues, as do others. Apparently on a future episode, we're going to see DeMar DeRozan of the Spurs, but it's an amazing documentary. And as they point out, whether or not you yourself have any mental health issues you're aware of, they point out it's almost certainly like 1 degree of separation. Someone in your family or someone you know closely as a friend or someone you work with almost certainly has those issues. I worked with a guy here who he suddenly passed away, which was so sad, about a year ago. And some of you may remember his name, Paul Kidwell. We love Paul. But, I would do this like I'm talking with Dave Ayler. Paul did not want to be on video. Paul, here we have this new world order where, there's a camera on you. Dave is an engineer, a producer, a board operator. When he took the job, just like when Paul took the job, they probably nobody said, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be on video." So Paul came to me at one point and said, I really don't want to be on video. And I was it's like, really? Isn't it fun? Aren't we having? But he didn't want to. So ultimately, you have to respect that. And certainly when it comes to, and part of it was, I think, Paul was getting like crass comments. People would say some crappy things, as they often do. And sometimes it's not malicious. It's just snarky. People like to be snarky online. But anyway, he didn't appreciate it. And he didn't sign up for it when he took the job. So while initially I didn't understand it, I had to respect it. And I had to respect his, his preference. And it is true. He didn't take this job to be on video or to be in front of the microphone. He took the job as an engineer. And I get that. It took me a few moments to get that, but I get it. But yeah, I mean, and again, it's just another life lesson. This has happened so many times and will continue to happen in all of our lives. Paul was a young man. Paul was in his 40s. Seemed to be in great health, was probably in great health, and was driving his vehicle one day and had a heart attack while driving. And that was it. And I got a text saying Paul's gone, and just wait, Paul's gone. That's impossible. I saw him 3 days ago. So you never know. You never know. So appreciate each day, appreciate your life, appreciate the people in your life, because you just, and there's this thing, and it kind of ties into the Naomi Osaka story, saying be kind to people because everyone is fighting some sort of a great battle and you don't know what it is, but almost all of us, there's something that we're contending with. So there's that. And then there's this life can be so fleeting for you, for me, for all of us. Amen, Clint Proctor. And we still have in studio, I keep this here. That is the program to Paul's memorial service. And there's Paul. And I keep that here in the studio. Woo! Hector Gomez, the King's Speech, which I haven't seen, Hector. I got to see it. I know it was a big deal. It's one of those things that's been on my radar that I haven't seen. The King's Speech, the movie, a true story of King George. His brother abdicated, stepped down from the throne, so George had to step up, but he was a stutterer. Yeah, I've heard nothing but, and that won all kinds of awards, I believe. Maybe even Best Picture. I know it was up for a lot of Oscars. Thank you, Eric. All right. See what's going on here. See if I got any mean tweets. Here we come, 7 o'clock hour. Why the hell not? Duel. Welcome in, everybody, on a Wednesday. You made it to the midpoint of the week, and if you were lucky enough to have Monday off for Memorial Day, this is a short week for you. We hope if you had Memorial Day off, or even if you didn't, you remembered the meaning of Memorial Day. A thank you to all who have served, and a thank you to all of those who continue to serve our country. It is the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. And Dave, I didn't mention this earlier, but are Wednesdays like plain T-shirt Wednesdays for you? I know Monday is Metal Monday, and you wear a metal T-shirt, and you play metal music. And I did notice last week, one day you came in, no band, no team.
Was that a Wednesday?
I don't know. Today's Wednesday. Shannon's got Longhorns going on. I've got Dallas Cowboys and a NASA baseball cap.
This is just called whatever was clean.
Whatever was clean.
Yeah, it was just laying on top of the washing machine that I hadn't put away. So I go, okay, that looks clean.
As far as I know, it's an inside-out shirt, and there are graphics. It's just
there could be.
No graphics on this one.
See, I try to put a little. I don't put much because it's 3 a.m. when I wake up. But I try to put a little. It's like I said, okay, what's today? Wednesday. Like on Taco Tuesday, if I have a taco-related T-shirt, and I've got a couple, I will sometimes wear a taco-related T-shirt on a Tuesday. On a Thursday, it's Throwback Thursday. So I'm looking for like an old throw. I'll wear like my San Antonio Wings from the World Football League, 1974, or my San Antonio Commanders, now defunct after just half a season in 2018 or 19, was it? And I'll wear a San Antonio Gunslingers baseball cap on it. So I tried to, and today I thought, yesterday I wore Astros, and even though the Astros won again last night, but I'm aspirational about Cowboys football season beginning, so I thought I'd go Cowboys today. So I actually, it's not just what's clean. It's I try to I try to have a theme going.
I don't put that much thought into my wardrobe, and I don't have any food related paraphernalia. At least I don't think I have anything food related in my wardrobe.
See, I have a T-shirt that says "I vote for tacos" that I wore a lot during the election year, and I have a T-shirt that says "Peace, Love, Tacos," which is a play on the '60s slogan "Peace, Love, Dope."
I can get behind both of those.
So yeah, Peace, Love, Tacos, or Peace, Love, Dope. I mean, I'm cool. Hey man, as soon as weed is legal, they will be sponsors of the show, and Shannon and I will be doing live remotes from dispensaries all across Texas. Looking forward to that. And I'm sure Governor Greg Abbott's working on that as we speak.
That would help sales of tacos too.
See? It's all connected. There's synergy behind all of this. Thank you very much. Somebody on Facebook Live says a San Antonio XFL team is coming in 2024. I'll believe that when I see it.
Wasn't the rest of the XFL have to come back first?
Yes. Well, and that drove me crazy because XFL... Well, and I like the XFL, and I did watch, but Dallas got a franchise and Houston got a franchise. In springtime football, they both have NFL franchises. Hello. Can we please? How about a San Antonio and Austin XFL team, for the love of God, please?
Well, I think part of that was because the XFL was almost like a minor league almost system of the NFL, right? That in between either leaving the NFL or moving from college and with the hopes to get to the NFL. And so placing them in areas where A, there's already a proven football fan base, and B, the possibility that they get seen, greater possibility that they'll be seen by local scouts and coaches that are already in the area. That I think it was fine. But it'd be great to have one closer because I'd love to see it.
Well, and San Antonio, and the year before that, when we had the Alliance of American Football, and Daryl Moose Johnston, former Cowboy, now football analyst on NFL games, was the general manager. In fact, Troy Aikman came down for one of the Commanders games before kickoff down on the field. They introduced Troy Aikman along with his buddy, and he came down because Moose Johnston was his buddy. But this was a startup league. You didn't really know anybody on the roster unless you were a hardcore, insane football freak, as some of us are. But we drew like 60,000 plus a stadium, the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. We drew 30,000 plus for those San Antonio Commander games. You half filled, and you got 30,000 people for a team and a league that didn't even exist a few months earlier. So if this town ever had meaningful football, and oh, by the way, it did in 2005 when the Saints, in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, came to San Antonio. And I think we demonstrated even on Cowboys game days when there was a bad Saints game in the Alamo Dome, we filled the place up with more than 60,000 fans. It just drives me crazy that it just can't happen. That's why Shannon and you and I, we had a meeting at the Chewy's halfway between San Antonio and Austin at the Chewy's in San Marcos. We have to combine forces. ASA, Austin, San Antonio. We build the stadium right around exit 200, right near the outlet malls or near the Buc-ee's. And on the other side of the Buc-ee's on Highway 35 is the In-N-Out Burger. That maybe In-N-Out gets the naming rights. In-N-Out Stadium. I don't know.
No,
or Buc-ee's.
I don't think Whataburger would allow that to happen.
Or Buc-ee's Stadium. I don't know. We could be the Austin San Antonio Buc-ee's. Just put that little beaver on the helmet. I'm just saying.
Are we still on football? Because I think the shadows of the Texans and the Cowboys are too large to. I'm not here for NFL ASA team or whatever you want to call it.
But it would be your hometown.
Okay. No. My hometown professional team is the Texas Longhorns, and any Texas fan will tell you that.
But they're not professional. I know what you're saying, but they're not professional.
It's professional because I'm not changing my allegiance from the Cowboys. I've been with them through all of the suck. I'm going to hang with them until they one day bring that Super Bowl.
See, that's
which will be this year.
See, that's why they need to bring an NFL team to Austin and San Antonio, because there will be people like you, and then we have to wait a generation until you die. And then after you die, the generation of kids who were here when the team was here, they will then be the hardcore fans. But it's like, and me too. I'm wearing a Cowboys. I say, yeah, I'm a Cowboy. My number one team, the San Antonio Spurs, are in my backyard. I work on Spurs radio with Bill Schoening, but my number one team, if I could only go to one game and see what, it's the Cowboys. I grew up on Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys. So yes, even if an NFL team came to Austin/San Antonio, I would support that team. I would be all in for that team. I would wear the jerseys. I would buy the season tickets. But yes, I would still be a Cowboys fan when the Cowboys came to town. And apparently this has happened in Phoenix for years with the Cardinals when they moved to Phoenix and Tempe. It's like whenever the Cowboys come to town, there's more Cowboys gear in the stands than there is Cardinals gear. And even the last time the Cowboys went to take on the Arizona Cardinals, there even like the mayor was pleading, please don't sell your tickets to Cowboys fans. Please don't sell your tickets to Cowboys fans. So I get it, and I would be one of them.
That sounds like every LA Chargers game ever so far.
See, but Paul Alexander, who often joins us on Fridays, he came up with this term. He said, I'm a Cowboys fan, but the Houston Texans are my chick on the side. So you can have your main team, you can have your main squeeze, but you can also have your chick on the side.
These bleeps ain't loyal.
I'm just saying.
These bleeps ain't loyal.
The Austin, San Antonio Buckies could be your chick on the side.
You live in fantasy land, sir.
No, see, I don't. I believe these things can happen.
Are you in Disneyland?
No.
Right,
but and again, and I will tell you, I speak from experience, because in 1973, they talked about bringing basketball to San Antonio, and people said, are you kidding me? Pro basketball in San Antonio, it'll never work. And first of all, that team from Dallas, the Chaparrals, they're not even in the NBA. That's the ABA. It won't last a year. Nobody will go. Football is king in San Antonio. We love the Longhorns. We love the Aggies. We love our high school football. Nobody loves basketball. Nobody's going to pay money for a season ticket to go watch basketball at the Hemisphere Arena in San Antonio. It will never work.
Well, since we're speaking of sports coming to the area, the Ice Bats are coming back to Austin.
Whoa! So how do you know that? When did that happen?
Recently, this week, they're going to play in Cedar Park, Chaparral Ice, I believe.
That is one of the greatest names ever.
Yeah, and that's the we didn't have the Texas Stars when I was growing up. It was to the Ice Bats games. And that bat in the mascot absolutely terrified me.
Well, and see, which is a better team name, the Austin Ice Bats or the Texas Stars?
I feel like the Texas Stars didn't have a choice.
True.
You know.
But see,
because they're the G League or whatever you want to call it. For the Dallas Stars.
But see, in San Antonio, a similar dynamic. We once had a team called the San Antonio Iguanas, and they had the coolest logo. They had like white jerseys with like blue, green, and orange font, and they had the coolest logo of an iguana on top of a hockey puck. And it was the San Antonio Iguana. People would bring iguanas to the games. It was great. And then, so the Iguanas folded and that league folded or whatever. And then the Spurs Sports and Entertainment had the San Antonio Rampage, which was all right. It's like, yeah, really? The Rampage? It was okay, but it wasn't the San Antonio Iguanas. So now that the Ice Bats are coming back, I just think that's a cool name. That's a team you can get inspired by.
Yeah. And it's got that local flair to it, of course, with the bats.
Woo!
Which my family and I had a huge discussion about over the weekend. Have you ever done the Austin Bats at the bridge?
I have. I've been down at the bridge and seen the bats go by, but I've never gone specifically for the bats, and I've never gone to like specific like bat cave locations in the Central Texas Austin area. What about you?
The bats, obviously I'm born and raised here, but anytime my grandfather would come down from Dallas, that would be like the parents would go out to eat and the grandparents would take the kids to go see the bats as an evening activity. And you see it once, it's really cool. There's a lot of them. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them didn't make it through that winter storm we had. So it'll probably be a little less this season, but probably still thousands upon thousands of them. But when you really think about it, that's gross.
Gross. They're
gross
God's
animals.
creatures.
They're disgusting. They're creepy, and we make it a thing to go watch them all flutter out of a under a bridge.
Now, why is that to you? They're disgusting and creepy.
Bugs.
Some people, and good bugs need to be eaten. I don't like mosquitoes.
I certainly don't. But again, just they're gross. Like when you think about it, that's gross.
They're bats.
Dinner and bat watching. No. Do it once. Come into town. Yes, do the bats, but don't. As an Austinite, like I've been there, done that too many times. I do not care anymore. Like I drive down that bridge like before sunset, and all these people are lined up, and I'm like, y'all don't have anything better to do, dude.
It's nature.
It's all around us, though.
Yeah, well,
I'm not here for the bats. I'm here for the ice bats, though.
Yeah, okay.
Bring it on.
At least you're not extending your disdain for bats to the Austin ice bats. Okay.
So it's a bunch of people saying, "Hey, let's go out and watch a bunch of animals get pooped on."
That's easy. Yes.
They're
over the lake. They fly over the lake, but I mean that's what I'm talking about.
They're going to fly over you and take a dump too.
Right. I mean, you gotta. We're not under the bats. We're not the people on the boats that are watching bats. Those people are insane. It's just not my thing.
All right. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. All right. Moving to the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger, 39 years old. The Steelers, as we know, had the 11-0 start last year. A lot of people call them the worst 11-0 football team in NFL history. But hey, man, if I'm a Cowboy, I'll take that 11-0 anytime. And what was amazing about that 11-0, never before in Steeler history were they ever 11-0. In the great Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris days, when they won the 4 Super Bowls with Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll as head coach, twice beating my beloved Dallas Cowboys by only 4 points in each game. Super Bowl 10, 21-17 Steelers. Super Bowl 13, 35-31. Thank you, Jackie Smith, for dropping that touchdown pass. Not that I can't let it go or get over it, but to think that Steeler team never went 11-0. Ben Roethlisberger spoke to the media yesterday, and now Shannon, they said, what about the pay cut? Apparently his contract was reduced by $5 million. He's making $5 million less this season than he was paid last season. And Big Ben says, oh, that was my idea. I did that.
No, it wasn't. If it was his idea, he would have done it sooner. If it was his idea, he would have done it years ago when it was talked about how there isn't anything on that team but Ben Roethlisberger. Where was that when Juju Smith-Schuster was taking less for his contract? Because they couldn't afford him otherwise.
I agree with you. It did not ring true to me. And I wonder.
He's so disingenuous.
Well, yeah, the level of ego where you can't even say, well, I love this team. I wanted to come back. Yeah. And if I have to come back for less money, then I'm coming. But he had to say, oh, no, I approached the team. I said, I would like less money. I want to do whatever is necessary so that you can surround this team with better players. So anyway, that's Ben's story. It was his idea. Big Ben gives back, and he's sticking to it.
He knows he's old and almost always injured now. He's going to be the street clothes of the NFL if he doesn't cut back his salary. And he thinks he's worth more than he is. Let's be honest. At this point, 39.
But if you think about it, he thinks he's worth more than he is, but they've been very consistent and very successful all those years with Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. And arguably, whether through smoke and mirrors or whatever, they did go out to the 11-0 start. And he also told the media he feels very good about this roster. He feels that they can win a lot of games this year. And he feels that this Pittsburgh Steelers team is flying under the radar, that the media is not counting on the Steelers to have a successful year this year. And he said he kind of likes that. He likes that they're being taken lightly by a lot of the observers of the NFL.
That's cute of him to say. He's in the same division as Lamar Jackson. No thanks. He knows what he's dealing with.
We will see. Now, meanwhile, speaking of quarterbacks, and I was about to say, and I think I can say this accurately, Hall of Fame quarter. Do you think Ben Roethlisberger? I think he probably goes to the Hall of Fame. He won a Super Bowl. He's been to a couple of Super Bowls. He's racked up some big numbers. He's 39. He's been in the league, let's see, probably 17 years now. I think I think Ben Roethlisberger goes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Maybe not a first ballot, but I think eventually.
Agreed.
Because unlike Tony Romo, Roethlisberger lasted a lot longer than Romo, and Roethlisberger made some noise in the playoffs, got to 2 Super Bowls and won one. Or did he win 2?
He won 2.
He won 2. Oh my, he's in. Then I think he's definitely in, right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's a first.
I mean, one of them was that
first ballot.
That touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes to beat the Cardinals at the very end of that one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, in my head it was 1. If he's won 2, I think he's in.
Yeah, I think he's won 2.
Okay.
I think he's made it. Have they been to 3?
They lost 1 to Green Bay.
Oh, that's right.
In Dallas.
Right.
Yeah. So they lost that one to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So my transition, and now I believe it's accurate, Shannon, is from one Hall of Fame destined quarterback to another. Tom Brady, who revealed over the offseason he's undergone a rather significant knee surgery. Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, saying yesterday, Tom Brady won't be taking a lot of snaps this offseason. You want to protect him, save him for the regular season. He said he will be doing a lot of coaching on the field this summer during training camp. I think that's a good idea. I think if I'm Bruce Arians, first of all, you gave Tom Brady everything he wanted last year. He wanted to bring in Gronk. You got Gronk. He wanted Leonard Fournette. You got Leonard Fournette. He wanted AB, Antonio Brown. You got AB. I would go ahead and say, you know what? This summer, and the Cowboys, Dan Reeves was once a player coach, a running back and a player coach. Dan Reeves went on to coach, obviously, the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants. I'd go ahead and make him a coach. I'd say special offensive assistant coach Tom Brady. Let's make it official. What do you think?
If it was just coach Tom Brady and he was no longer playing, I don't see that for him. But the guy and the player he is, where he's always coaching up his wide receivers specifically about where they messed up or where they should look for that open space, like even live and during games. I like it because he still is that quarterback for that team and can see things for them and communicate that with them, and maybe see things even differently from when he's not under center that he wasn't seeing before. So as a player coach, yes. But if you were to say he's retiring, he's going to be a coach now, I'd be a little confused.
No, he's too pretty. I think
he's too pretty to be a coach.
He's too pretty, and Giselle has. They need to be horseback riding on a beach in France.
Kingberries and Sean McVay's in the league.
Yeah, if you're a head coach, you got to spend the night at the office and never sleep and put in 75-hour weeks. Yeah, no, Tom's not going to do that. All right, coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. If you thought she was salty about Ben Roethlisberger and bats, just wait for the Salty Shakedown, people. Also this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Don't forget, just after 8 o'clock, we're about a half an hour away from the great Bill Schoening, voice of the San Antonio Spurs. We'll talk NBA playoffs and more with Bill. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out. We are with you till 9 this morning on the Chris Duel Show. Thank you, Chris Gonzalez. That's what I get for talking about Ben Roethlisberger without having his Wikipedia up in front of me, thinking he had just won 1 Super Bowl. Yeah, I think he won 2 and got to 3. Maybe now even a first ballot, maybe. By the time he's done, maybe after this year, and we look at his numbers, and he played to the age of 40. He's 39 now. Yeah, Jim Plunkett should be in. It is a travesty that Jim Plunkett is not in. I believe Jim Plunkett should be in. Axel J. Miller has an Iguanas t-shirt. Very cool. John, you are correct about the Rampage and the St. Louis Blues. Good memory. Here we go. Trying to see where this is going, Dave Ayler. I thought this was Werewolves of London when I first heard the piano.
No. Well, it's Sweet Home Alabama is the music. You know who's singing?
Weird Al Yankovic? I have no idea.
That's Kid Rock.
That's Kid Rock. I thought it was a parody. I heard the opening piano. I didn't hear Sweet Home Alabama. I heard Werewolves of London by Warren Zevon.
We were talking about bats and how gross they were.
And you were like,
Kid Rock put those together.
Wow. Woo!
He always looks unkempt.
He does.
It's a street clothes.
Yeah. Is Kid Rock still a thing? Is Kid Rock still doing what Kid Rock does?
Yeah, I guess.
I haven't seen him.
I haven't heard anything from him in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in the media, on the radar.
That's like one of his newer songs, but that feels.
Yeah, that's still a few years old, though.
now,
Yeah, that's still
yeah.
4 years old, something like that.
I got to get hip to Kid Rock. I don't think I was ever hip to Kid Rock, so that's why I didn't, what can I tell you? Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show. That is Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler, and Kid Rock. Coming up at just after 8 o'clock, we'll talk more NBA playoffs with the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. Bill does, so much broadcasting for the Spurs, and his level of prep every time the Spurs face a team is extensive. So Bill knows pretty intimately all of these teams that are still vying for the NBA championship in the playoffs. So we'll get his thoughts on what's going on and what might be an early ouster for the Los Angeles Lakers. We've talked about it earlier this morning, and I'm sure we'll get back into it. Lakers get blown out last night by 30 to the Phoenix Suns, 115-85. Suns take a 3-2 lead in that series. Lakers will face 1 or 2 elimination games if they can survive Game 6 and force a Game 7. Denver also took a 3-2 lead over the Portland Trail Blazers in double overtime. Nuggets beat the Blazers 147-140, even though Damian Lillard went for 55 points. That's a franchise playoff record for the Blazers. Brooklyn Nets closed out the Boston Celtics 123-109. So Brooklyn wins that series 4-1. They will face the Milwaukee Bucks next in the semifinal round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. In a moment, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. But before that, sports birthdays and this day in sports history. Thank you very much. June 2nd, 1935, future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Babe Ruth announces his retirement as a player at the age of 40. Babe Ruth retired today at the age of 40. Tom Brady says, "Hold my beer." This day in 1942, Boston Red Sox star Ted Williams enlists in the United States Navy as an aviator. That's right. World War II was going on, and a lot of baseball players, including Ted Williams, fought and, in his case, flew in World War II. On this day in 1973, it was the French Open. Yeah, French Open was in the news on this day in 1973 as well. Margaret Court of Australia beats American teenager Chris Everett 6-7, 7-6, 6-4 for Margaret Court's 5th and last French Open singles crown. Of course, Chris Everett would go on to have a prolific tennis career after that. And on this day in 1992, former NFL New York Giants head coach Bill Parcells underwent open heart surgery. Luckily, that went well for Bill Parcells, and he's still around all these years later. That's this day in sports history, June 2nd. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1904, this guy was a big deal. Johnny Weissmuller. Johnny Weissmuller was a swimmer, 5-time Olympic gold medalist in the 1924 and 1928 Olympics. He was born in Friedorf, Romania on this day in 1904, but became an American. And then, maybe bigger than the Olympic gold that he won, he became an actor and became famous for his role as Tarzan. Johnny Weissmuller, from Olympic gold in swimming to playing Tarzan. Johnny Weissmuller died in 1984. Born on this day in 1920. Cowboy fans, without this man, a lot of what you know about America's team would have never happened. Longtime and founding Cowboys general manager, he hired Tom Landry. Texas E. Schramm. Thank you, Jimmy. And by the way, when Jerry Jones was hired, or when Jerry Jones became the owner, that press conference, there is a photo of Tex Schramm looking at Jerry Jones with the look of just horror in his eyes. Tex Schramm, born on this day in 1920, president and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. Tex Schramm died in 2003. Born on this day in 1944, NFL place kicker for the Miami Dolphins, Garo Yepremian, born in Larnaca, Cyprus. In Super Bowl VII, Garo Yepremian, on a blocked field goal, tried to throw a pass. It was batted into the air, intercepted by Mike Bass, who ran it in for a touchdown. Had Yepremian made that field goal, it was 14-0 Dolphins with just about 3 minutes left in the game. Miami would have won the game 17-0, and their season would have been 17-0. They still won the game 14-7, but Garo threw a touchdown pass for the other team. Garo, don't throw the football. Born on this day in 1953, American golfer Craig Stadler won the Masters in 1982. Craig Stadler was born in San Diego, California on this day in 1953. And finally, born on this day in 1980, American soccer player. She holds the world record for the most international goals. Born on this day in Rochester, New York, Abby Wambach. Abby Wambach, born on this day in 1980. That's sports birthdays. That's sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know you've been waiting all morning for it. It is here for you now. Your one, your only Salty Shakedown.
All right, we're going to start off with Mr. Tyrann Mathieu, because we talked about street clothes. We talked about the brow.
Yes.
So over to another gentleman with quite the nicknames, the landlord, and most popularly known as the Badger. Of course, he is a former LSU standout, donned the number 7, and he is still very much tied to that school, as most NFL players are who end up to have great careers in the NFL. So he's looking out for his guy, Derek Stingley, who has been named if not one of the best athletes to take the field this fall, one of the best defensive guys to take the field this fall. He is a cornerback for LSU, Matthew's former school. Even already early, his name's being tossed around for possible Heisman candidate or a Thorpe Award winner. And for those that aren't familiar, the Thorpe Award goes to the top defensive back at the college football level. So Tyrann Mathieu is putting a lot of money on the line here, tweeting that he will donate $1 million to LSU.
Wow.
Should Mr. Derek Stingley win either the Heisman or the Jim Thorpe. Now, I love that he is still very much supporting his school. I don't know that they need that money. I mean, have you seen their new locker room? It's pretty spectacular. But my question to you is, Chris, and it'd be pretty unlikely because we don't see defensive guys, much less become finalists for the Heisman Award and then win them. But should he win both?
Ooh.
Is that $2 million?
That's a great question. Well, and to me, it raises the question, Shannon, if you're Tyrann Mathieu and you were going to give $1 million if he won it, but then he doesn't win it,
right?
You were gonna give $1 million to LA. So now you're not. Are you gonna give us 50,000? You're gonna give us 5? Are you?
Is he a finalist?
What are you gonna do? Yeah. So, that to me, that's a little weird.
I love the gesture.
Yeah.
However, as we know, it's on the internet. It's there forever. So I'm sure LSU fans have bookmarked that and will reference back to it come the end of the season. But Derek Stingley, definitely a guy to look out for this year. Tyrann Mathieu also said, hey, the dude's number 7. I was number 7. Derek just changed his number to number 7. So he's got high hopes for his LSU brother. All right, moving on to the NBA. Fan behavior has been a huge storyline for the NBA playoffs, and for all the worst reasons. One of the games, the Utah Jazz versus Memphis Grizzlies, the last time the Grizzlies were in town, John Moran's family was there, and they were berated by a handful of fans. And they even said, listen, most of the fans were cheering along right with us, having great conversations, but there were 3 fans who have since been banned from Jazz games who were harassing John Morant's family, specifically his mother and his father. The Utah Jazz have publicly apologized, saying that this is not the way that we want to be represented. This is not great for the league. And they have extended an invitation to Morant's family to come and sit courtside for tonight's Game 5. That would include charter to and from the game, as well as accommodations for that night. I think this is great, but because I'm salty, I'm gonna give you the salty take for this. One, his mom isn't going because she says her anxiety just can't handle it, and I get it. I mean, you don't want to put yourself through that again because they may give you courtside, but it's not like they're promising the people around you are going to behave any better.
But I think they would though this time,
They'd
don't you?
I mean, you're courtside, cameras are on.
Yeah.
But just the Jazz are currently leading the series 3-1. So this is an elimination game in Utah. Hey, come sit courtside as we kick your son's team out of the playoffs tonight. How about that? Everything's paid for. You take it? Yes or no?
I think you take it. I think you bet on your son, but it is interesting. And we talked about Naomi Osaka and anxiety, and I totally understand his mom declining in this case. But no, I think you take it and you hope for the best. And I know in one of these games, John Morant went for 47 in this series in one of the games. So if anxiety were not an issue, first of all, mega applause to the Utah Jazz. Obviously, no one in that organization said the reprehensible and what I understand to be racist slurs that were thrown at John Morant's parents. That is unacceptable on every level. What you do then as an organization is try to come up with a way to make things right. Now, obviously, you can't erase what was done. And obviously, you didn't do it. Some stupid, ignorant, racist, god-awful fans did it. But I do appreciate the gesture here by the Utah Jazz. And if they can't come or if the mom declines it tonight, and it looks like she will, I hope that next time Memphis comes to town, the same offer will stand in the regular season or wherever.
Yes. Well, Ja's father, as well as 4 other members of his party, will be in attendance. So
cool.
For them at courtside tonight. And John Morant, a true up-and-comer for this league, a star. I was kind of thinking last night, we've got the Olympics coming up. There's a good chance that a lot of the bigger names may sit this one out, given the schedule of this last year.
How dare they?
How deep their playoff run goes. We saw it happen with the Rio Olympics just in 2016.
Don't do that to Pop.
I'd love to see a guy like John Morant or even a Trae Young spot on that Olympic roster. So something to look out for. He's definitely a player to watch. And again, that game is tonight between the Grizzlies and the Jazz. All right, finally tonight, this was another trending topic on Twitter yesterday. The Oakland A's apparently do not treat their minor leaguers well when it comes to post-game meals, because a post-game meal was shared across the interwebs. One was I don't even know if you call it like a cheese sandwich. It was 2 slices of white bread, a slice of Kraft cheese, a piece of lettuce, and a tomato. No meat. And then the other was a flour tortilla with about 3 bell pepper pieces in there and 2 pieces of like not 2 big pieces of chicken, like 2, like I don't even like
barely chicken nuggets.
1 piece of regular chicken cut into 2 pieces. I mean, absolutely no protein. This is a post-game meal. A lot of people are like, they're professional baseball players. Why are they? They're in the minor leagues. They don't get the big steaks and whatever. We're not saying they should get all that, but they deserve a meal. A lot of these guys are paid just over $1,000 a month. Okay. They rely on getting a lot of their meals from these games and these road games. And they basically eat and live on a bus throughout their career. It is unacceptable. A lot of people were relating it to Fry Festival, of course, the now infamous festival, in which it was supposed to be this giant and luxury thing, and they got food served to them like this. If you haven't seen the pictures, we'll make sure to throw it up on AM 1300 and Tickets Twitter pages, because you wouldn't accept that if that was your kid at their school lunch. You wouldn't take that. You'd say, "Where's the protein? Where's the actual meal part of this? This doesn't even qualify as a snack." So the Oakland A's, who currently are looking to move their major league team possibly out of Oakland, ASA,
come on
if they
down.
move it here, I think the area would defend their minor leaguers.
Bucky Stadium.
Force them to feed them legitimate post-game meals. These are also grown men. They don't want a cheese sandwich after they've just played a baseball game. Come on, Oakland. Come on.
Now, you did the follow-up. Oakland, now the A's have heard loud and clear that the organization apparently is firing the vendor. Apparently they pay some food service to get these meals. Apparently they are now looking into it, and they're going to fire the vendor and hire another vendor. So the good news, and again, kind of like Naomi Osaka, now that you've got the major tennis tournaments looking into being more sensitive to players who might have mental health issues. The good news now, the Oakland A's seem to have gotten the message loud and clear, and they seem to be beginning at least to go through the beginning of motions to address the problem.
It's just sad that it has to come to the internet's attention.
Yeah.
For it to be just berated and scrutinized over before they're like, oh, I guess this isn't right. That organization should be paying just as much attention to their minor leaguers as they do their major leaguers, and making sure that all aspects of the game and the lifestyle that it is to be a major baseball or a professional baseball player are taken care of. So good on them for making a change. Let's hope it's for the better. That concludes today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown, as always. And it reminds me of, when the women's NCAA tournament was in San Antonio, Austin, and South Texas. And, they were putting the videos out of their facilities and their quote unquote weight room, which was ridiculous and not a weight room.
And their food too was.
Yeah. They had really bad food too. So, I mean, again, maybe even borrowing a page from what the ladies did in the NCAA basketball tournament, when you've got visual evidence, and in this case, the players took photos of these god-awful meals. And again, it's so funny. We as fans just assume, oh my God, you're an NCAA basketball player?
Yeah.
You're in the tournament for the women? What a life you have. Oh, you're a minor league player, but you could get to the majors. You get to play baseball for a living all season. Sometimes it's not as glamorous as it seems.
Yeah. And you wonder what it was like before cell phones, and they put these things out for the rest of the world to see.
Come on, Oakland A's. A, make it right, and B, move your team to Austin, San Antonio.
Someone said they come here, they'll have real chicken fajitas.
Exactly.
And that's exactly right.
Yes.
Put that on the docket for
We'll get those catered. We'll get the Chewies in San Marcos to
there you go.
Cater your post-game meals with that fresca salsa that they put crack in it. I ate when I had lunch with you, Shannon. I got the big old 64-ounce tub of fresca salsa.
Did you finish it?
In like 3 days. I finished it. I was like chips. I was throwing that on my eggs for breakfast. I was just guzzling it whole.
So we're going today then, right?
Yeah, let's go. Woo! 11 o'clock. Let's go. Quick break. Bill Schoening, the voice of the Spurs, will talk NBA playoffs with us next. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! All right, 1 hour left. Good morning, Beth Settle. So I was waiting for Joel Cologne. Because the other day we were talking about coffee, and Joel said, I was talking about the coffee that I drink, and he said, nope, Black Rifle coffee is the best. So he ordered me, this arrived, and I said, good luck. We don't have a receptionist post-COVID. but he apparently got me some Black Rifle coffee, and on the box it says coffee or die. Black Rifle Coffee Company. I was going to open this when Joel has been in here on Facebook Live occasionally. So I was going to open it when he got here. But since he's not here, I'll just open it anyway. If I can get it open. It looks like somebody already tried to open it. That's how the box arrived. But hopefully they didn't get to the coffee. There it is. Black Rifle, this Blackbeard's Delight. God knows what, it's dark roast, which I kind of like. Let's see. Set sail with this majestic dark roast, and upon your journey, you will find a smoky aroma and a robust flavor with hints of baker's chocolate. It's a blessing for one to have a hand in determining their own coffee. Explore the unknown with Blackbeard's Delight. Very cool. So tomorrow, before work, I will brew up some Blackbeard's Delight, and I will be guzzling Black Rifle coffee tomorrow. Black Rifle Coffee had a truck at NASCAR at COTA. Got free coffee, and it wasn't bad, but prefer HEB roast. Okay. Well, I will let you know tomorrow how the Blackbeard's Delight is. Axel J. Miller, I see you just tagged me in a post. Thank you. Dave Ayler calling Mr. Bill Schoening. Let's see here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you just got it. That was quick. Okay. Yeah, we talked about it on. We did a segment with Andy yesterday at 8:35, so we talked about it. Yeah.
I never knew how I would ever react if I ever made one, and I really didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
Buddy and I were looking and saw it bounce just over the bunker it took a good kick because there was a slope on the green, and it went to the hole, and did it go in?
So how'd you react? Was it surreal? Was it just?
Well, yeah, I guess it was kind of surreal if I'd never made one before.
Right.
So I was just smiling all the way, and took a picture of the ball in the hole, of course. And
Yeah.
A picture of me taking the ball out in the hole. And that was it.
Yeah, and Andy said there's like certain either the company that made the ball. He said Titleist
Well, this was
gave
Callaway. Now,
okay.
Titleist does special things. I don't know if Callaway does.
Yeah.
Really.
You should check. He says that they put you in a club. You got a certificate. You're in the hole-in-one club, and yeah.
Okay. I'll leave you with a golf joke.
Okay.
This man was sitting in his easy chair, and his wife was lying on the living room floor. The cops go by. Sir, is this your wife? He says, yes. There's a 5 iron lane. Is this the golf club you used to beat your wife to death with? He says, yes. How many times did you hit her with the club? He says, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Put me down for a 5.
Oh, God. That's sick. Funny, but sick. Eric Winchester going to bed soon. Bill Schoening on the line. Got to find that statistic on LeBron.
This is the Chris Duel Show. 95 today. We're going to the other side. Now, Chris Duel.
The song is Break On Through by The Doors. Lead vocals by Jim Morrison. NBA teams trying to break on through to the next round of the playoffs. And the Phoenix Suns took a major step last night in breaking on through beyond the defending NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers. Suns annihilate the Lakers in Phoenix last night, 115-85. Anthony Davis did not play, prompting, and we talked about it earlier, Charles Barkley to come up with a new nickname for Anthony Davis, Anthony Street Clothes Davis, and LeBron James leaving the court early. It was an ugly night for the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are on the brink. They are down 3-2 in that series. Each of the next 2 games, assuming they win game 6 and force a game 7, they would have 2 consecutive elimination games with their backs to the wall. And of course, Anthony Davis's status for game 6 still up in the air. Maybe we'll learn more later today. We love talking basketball. We love talking all sports. And anything with Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, just completing his 20th season as the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Bill Schoening, welcome back. How are you this morning?
It must be Wednesday morning. I'm with you, Chris. Very, very good. Thank you.
Well, and we love having you, Bill, and you've been so kind. I know the Spurs season is over, and you probably you have earned some well-deserved R&R, but Shannon and I appreciate your hanging out with us throughout the playoffs to be kind of our go-to guy on the NBA playoffs. And I'm looking at a couple of the statistics involving LeBron James, Bill. This is the first time ever that LeBron James has lost consecutive first-round games. It's never happened before now, and this is the first time in LeBron's career that he trails in a first-round series after Game 5 or later in the series. Certainly new territory for LeBron James.
There's no question about it, and this team is in serious trouble unless they can get Anthony Davis back. And I know that you were just talking about his status and what's going to happen for the next game, but they just looked lost last night. I think they shot 35%. They were never really in the game. I was watching one of the other games and flipped over and was like, are you kidding me? It's a 30-point game. So, but it was worth staying up last night to watch Portland and Denver. I'll tell you that. I don't know how late you were able to stay up, Chris, because you got to get up so early in the morning, but that was an amazing game. One of the best playoff games I've seen in recent years.
Bill, I'm sure by now you've heard of Anthony Davis's new nickname, Street Clothes. Is it cool that Charles gave him that name? Does that mean it'll stick if a guy like Charles does that? And then in future broadcasts in which you call Anthony Davis games, will you be referring to him as Street Clothes? In particular, if he does show up in street clothes.
Yeah. No, I try to have a little more respect for the players. I think that it's been a tough time for Anthony Davis. I'm sure he wants to be out there, but he has had, there's no question about it, a number of injuries throughout his career, and it's been hard to keep him healthy. And that's been a knock on a lot of different guys throughout the course of their career. But this is certainly a guy that they rely on a great deal. This was a team they put together with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and then fill in the pieces, right? So they need him to be one of those two main pieces with LeBron James. And it's going to be very, very difficult if he's not ready to go. And, it's kind of a tough knock. I understand why Charles does it. And, we've talked about Charles before on this show, Chris and Shannon. He's all about the entertainment. He wants to get people to talk about TNT, to talk about their show. And that's why he probably called them Street Clothes last night. Maybe he really means it. It's kind of a mean thing. But, that Anthony wants to be out there and play with his guys. But without him, it's going to be really, really tough. Phoenix really is playing right now with a great deal of confidence, and they are the number 2 seed. Remember, they're the team that should be favored in the series, in my opinion. But, of course, Lakers were favored, and without Davis, it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and we will in a moment. Bill, you alluded to Denver's amazing double overtime win over Portland last night. We will get to that one in a moment, but I just want to get a couple more thoughts from you on this Lakers Phoenix Suns series. Couple of things regarding the Phoenix Suns. Again, we've talked about it before, Bill. The fact that this team had not been in the playoffs since 2010. Monty Williams, the head coach, his connections to the Spurs and Greg Popovich, well documented. Certainly the personal tragedy that he went through, losing his wife in a horrible car accident when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just nice to see. And Chris Paul, who's never gone very deep in the NBA playoffs. So many storylines involving the Phoenix Suns and some guys who have been in this league for a number of years, like Monty Williams and Chris Paul. Nice to see them maybe on the brink of a big playoff series win right now.
Absolutely. Monty Williams, one of the best guys I've had a chance to spend some time with in my 20 years in the NBA. Of course, you documented the fact that he's got a Spurs background, played for the Spurs back in the day, back in the 90s. So real class guy. I'm very happy for him. I think he deserves Coach of the Year honors. Certainly Quinn Snyder and Tom Thibodeau, the other 2 finalists for that award, are deserving as well. But I'm just happy to see them playing well. It all started in the bubble last year. Remember, they went into the bubble last year and really beat everybody. And that's where I think they got their confidence, a little momentum going into this season. And they haven't stopped, number 2 seed in the Western Conference. And, they were fighting for the number 1 seed with the Utah Jazz up till the final weekend when they were in San Antonio. So all credit to the Phoenix Suns, and I think they're poised to make a run here.
The Utah Jazz tonight playing the Memphis Grizzlies, and we learned that Ja Morant's parents have been offered courtside seats as well as transportation to this game, treated like VIPs after the awful experience they had last time in Utah. Fan reaction and behavior throughout the NBA playoffs has been a huge storyline and all pretty negative up to this point, Bill. And you have traveled the country. You've been to nearly or probably every stadium at this point. I know there was lack of fans for games this year. You didn't get to travel, but have you ever seen someone run on the court or overheard something just horrendous where you just couldn't believe that was happening at an NBA game?
Well, I haven't personally seen a lot of that myself. Obviously, we've seen it firsthand here in the last couple of weeks, and it's really unfortunate. I think there are probably a number of reasons for that. Alcohol may be involved. I think sometimes people get braver when they got a couple of drinks in them or a couple of beers in them, but there's no room at all for throwing anything at any point in time at anybody in an arena or anywhere else for that matter. And I do think that the NBA is going to really try to crack down, and the individual teams that are responsible for the security in those arenas will crack down. And a lifetime ban or whatever it happens to be, assess these fans that go over the line. Criminal charges could be filed against some of these folks. They got to protect the players and protect other fans. I mean, you throw a water bottle or, whatever you're throwing, it could hit somebody else and not the intended target. And just the fact that you're throwing something at someone, you're going over the line right there. So, and it's only a few fans that are doing this. It's a shame because, the fans in a particular city will get a reputation for being ugly fans when it might be just one or two people that are doing these really criminal things.
Yeah, and as you say that, Bill, one of my first thoughts, when I hear something like that, what happened in Utah, and it's, as Shannon mentions, it's happened in many arenas throughout the NBA playoffs, was, thank goodness, for the most part, that never happens in San Antonio. We've been blessed that for the most part, San Antonio Spurs fans get it and behave quite well typically throughout Spurs games. Speaking with Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, talking about the NBA playoffs. And Bill, you talked about it and you watched it last night. I think an instant classic in Denver last night. They go to double overtime. The Nuggets beat Portland 147-140. Damian Lillard, a franchise playoff record, 55 points for the Portland Trail Blazers. Nikola Jokic, not a bad night himself, 38, 11, and 9. This was whoever was going to win this game, takes the 3-2 lead. It turned out to be Denver. So now they're kind of in the driver's seat here, and they can play with house money in Game 6. Big game, big win for the Nuggets last night.
Remember, they're doing this without Jamal Murray, one of their top players, an all-star caliber type player at guard, and other players have stepped up. And this is what it takes for a team to advance when you've got an injury like this. And the Lakers right now don't have many people stepping up. They've got other guys getting hurt, where this team has got other guys stepping up. You look at a guy like Monte Morris, who was a backup point guard. And remember, Will Barton is hurt too. They're just not down Jamal Murray. Will Barton, who's part of their rotation, either starting or coming off the bench, is a very, very important part of what Denver does. So both those players are out, but guys like Facundo Campazzo from Argentina, don't you just love that name?
Yes.
Yes. He has stepped up along with Monte Morris. They've got other guys that are doing a very good job, obviously Michael Porter Jr. and the regular rotation players. But, credit to Coach Michael Malone and the job that he's done with the Denver Nuggets.
Bill, the Nets take care of the Celtics to move on to the next round. They will take on the Bucks and Giannis next. Do you like that matchup? And, the Bucks, seemingly their coach might be on the hot seat if he doesn't get it done here. How much do you put into that? It would seem to me you get him to the playoffs year in and year out. I don't know why you're on the hot seat, but at this point, he just hasn't made it to the big one. What do you like about this matchup, and what are your thoughts on the Bucks coach?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of connections with the San Antonio Spurs in this matchup, right? You got, obviously, the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets is Sean Marks, who was part of the Spurs organization for a long time. Then you go on the other side, you got Mike Budenholzer, who was part of the organization for 19 years, first in the video room and then as an assistant under Greg Popovich. Bryn Forbes is there. Chad Forcier is an assistant coach Brent, of course, a player. So you got a lot of guys on that staff that have San Antonio connections. And the same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be pulling for Brooklyn. I mean, for Milwaukee, because I just love Coach Bud and I love Chad Forcier, one of his top assistants. So we had such a good time together in San Antonio. Those guys were always very cooperative with Spurs Radio and gave me a lot of insight, taught me a lot of things. I used to love watching Chad Forcier when he was the player development coach, working with guys like Kawhi Leonard and young guys who were coming up through that period of time. Kyle Anderson, the list goes on and on. So Chad's certainly a very important part of the development of some of the young guys on the Spurs roster, and some of the guys now have been around for a while. So I'll be pulling for Milwaukee. I think it's a great series. I really do. I think that series is going to go 7 games.
He's the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, talking NBA playoffs with us. Bill, and you just mentioned Kawhi Leonard. If indeed, and if you know, that's the late game tonight on TNT. Tip off after 9:00 tonight. Clippers hosting the Dallas Mavericks. That series tied at 2-2. Most people believe it hinges upon Luka Doncic's health. He's been banged up. The Dallas desperately needs him. But now with the Lakers on the brink, if indeed, Bill, the Lakers were ousted by the Phoenix Suns, by default, you look at the Clipper team, you know, with Kawhi Leonard, with Paul George. In your mind, do they become the favorite in the West if the Lakers get knocked out in the first round? Or do you look at the wins compiled by Utah and by Phoenix and look at those guys as favorites?
I think Utah's got to be the team to beat because they play both ends of the floor. They got Rudy Gobert, who could very well get another Defensive Player of the Year award. It'll certainly be in the conversation, one of the finalists. And the fact that they shoot so many threes and hit so many threes, I think that's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. Utah's a tough place to play on the road now. The fans are back. You know, we talked about this last week, Chris, how all during the course of the season, home court advantage really wasn't a factor. Now it's becoming more of a factor because the fans are coming back in, and a lot of these fans are really amped up, you know, because they've been, in their house now for a year, so they're ready to get out there and make some noise. And of course, now it's the playoff time, so everything gets amped up a little bit more anyway. So I still think that Utah is the team to beat in the Western Conference. I think the Clippers are good; they're solid, but you know the Mavericks are not out of the series. What they need, and of course, Doncic, his health is very, very important. You're right; they need somebody else to step up and help out Luka Doncic. Whether it's Tim Hardaway or Kristaps Porzingis or Dorian Finney-Smith, they need somebody else to come in there and really help out. Scoring-wise, and obviously at the defensive end where they've had their struggles, they need some guys to step up because right now the Clippers have the momentum in the series.
Do you foresee Porzingis staying with the Mavs in the future? Because in my point of view, I think this experiment is all but done here.
We're talking about Anthony Davis earlier, and KP has that same kind of reputation. You know, they can't keep him healthy. And when he does play, he's a little banged up here and there. I would just like to see him be a little bit more assertive, a little more aggressive, and use that 7'3" frame. He steps outside and shoots a lot. I'd like to see him get in there and get some rebounds, but they need him to be tough. They need him to be an inside presence in the series, and that would be very, very helpful tonight in that pivotal Game 5.
Bill, we know you're a Philadelphia guy, even though you're the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. When the Spurs are not playing and when Philadelphia is playing in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, I think you got a little allegiance to your hometown team. Philly, a chance to close out Washington tonight. In fact, that'll be the first game of 4 in the NBA tonight. That's a tip-off just after 6:00 on NBA TV. However, Joel Embiid seems to have suffered a knee injury in the previous game. Have you heard anything about Embiid's condition, and how do you feel about the 76ers moving forward? I mean, the good news is up 3-1. I think we can assume they're going to win this series, and the way the bracket is set up, it's probably good to avoid Milwaukee and Brooklyn, let those two fight it out. But how do you feel about Embiid's injury, and how do you feel about the Sixers moving forward?
I don't think Embiid's going to play tonight. I think he's doubtful, and it might be a good move on the part of Doc Rivers to sit him and make sure that he's ready to go because, we talked about all these star players before, but the Philadelphia 76ers are not going to go very far without Joel Embiid. He's an MVP candidate, one of the top players in the league, and this year he had done a pretty good job of staying healthy. That had been another problem with him. We're talking about all these guys who've been banged up, and Joel Embiid certainly has had his share of injuries through the course of his young career. So I doubt that he'll play tonight. Washington still is a very dangerous team. They got all these guys that can score and do all these different things. Unfortunately, Davis Bertans is going to miss the rest of the playoffs, it looks like, with his injury that happened the other night. But I think the Sixers can advance, but they will need Joel Embiid. They might be able to beat Washington without him, but moving forward, they're going to need him in the middle and doing all the different things he does both ends of the floor.
He's the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. So, Bill, I was telling Shannon this, and I know LeBron James is fascinating to me because for whatever the reason, a lot of fans don't like him, which I'm a guy, I like LeBron James. I think he's great for the game. He's a great dad, a great husband, one of the top players in NBA history. Yes, he can be a little dramatic at times. I did not like that he left the court early last night, but if indeed the Lakers get knocked out, as I said to Shannon earlier in the show, I think the playoffs lose a little bit of luster. I mean, there's something special and there's something magic about having LeBron James in the NBA playoffs. And as we just mentioned earlier, he's never been in a hole like this in the first round. He's always advanced beyond the first round and typically very, very deep into the playoffs. Do you think NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and maybe the executives at TNT and ESPN and ABC are kind of hoping LeBron James and the Lakers turn this series around?
We talked about this a little bit last week. There's executives that are really, really pulling for the Lakers because they know that a lot of eyeballs will be on TVs just to watch LeBron James. And this is the thing that has always fascinated me about the NBA and the way they market the league. They really push individual players. And I get that. I understand. LeBron James is a star of the ages for sure. But to me, I think there are very interesting storylines with the Phoenix Suns, with the Utah Jazz, with some of these other teams you don't see as often. And I would love for the networks that do these games to push that scenario a little bit. Let's learn a little bit more about Quinn Snyder. Let's learn a little bit more about Monty Williams, Jay Crowder, all these different guys that play for different teams. I think they're interesting too. Are they LeBron James? No, maybe not. But if the networks have to do that and make a pivot here, if LeBron is out of the playoffs, let's promote some of these other guys in the league that don't get nearly as much attention as LeBron James.
You make a great point, Bill. And I, having been a part of the Spurs broadcast, these names that you're mentioning, I hear you talk to them, interview them, talk about them throughout the season. And maybe that is what the NBA needs. There's certain players like LeBron, like Kawhi, and others that the media seems to be fixated on, but you're so right. There's so many other great storylines out there. Maybe this opens that opportunity for the networks to talk about some of these other great stories, and maybe somebody like a Utah or a Phoenix emerges in the West and becomes a big, big story moving forward in these NBA playoffs. He is Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. He is a great follow on Twitter at Spurs Radio. And Bill, we love talking hoops with you, man. We're going to do it again next week if you're available. We might even have to talk some music with you. It's been a while since we've talked music with you.
Yeah, I've got some songs written, Chris. I got to go back in the studio and do them. My producer's got about 800 things he's juggling right now. So when he has a minute, I'll be able to go in there and bang these out. So I'll share those with you when the time comes. But right now, I'm enjoying the playoffs, and I'll be with you. You're stuck with me on Wednesdays for a while. Wednesdays with Schoening.
We love our Wednesdays with Schoening. It's the highlight of my week, man. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Enjoy the Sixers and Washington tonight, and we'll talk again next week. Thanks so much, Bill.
All right, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Shannon.
All right, wow. Bill knows his hoops, and he knows, and he makes a huge point about so many storylines that you could pursue, and hopefully they will be pursued as we move forward in the NBA playoffs. As we roll forward, we will take a look at everything that is popping in the world of sports as we move into this Wednesday officially, as the world of sports wakes up and begins its operations in the National Football League and Major League Baseball, and of course the NBA. 4 NBA games tonight on tap, a couple of them on TNT. The early TNT game at 6:30, Knicks hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks lead 3-1 and can close out the Knicks. And your late game, the one that I am most interested in, Clippers Mavericks. That series tied at 2-2. Come on, Luka, feel good. Bring it tonight, Luca. We need a Dallas Mavericks win, or I'm going to be cranky tomorrow morning. We don't want that. Quick break. We're with you till 9. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler making the show go on the Chris Duel Show. Welcome in from Twitch. All right. Woo, that's loud. Loud, 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 loud. I'm grabbing some ice for my iced tea. I'm transitioning from coffee to iced tea. John Williams, I worked for over 34 years at American Airlines, never drank coffee, but did my share of unsweetened iced tea. Yeah, I'm an unsweetened iced tea guy myself, which is what I have here with now more ice in it. Bush's chicken iced tea. Thank you very much. Do you still have the Charles Barkley audio? We might play that again. It's just so funny. It's like, I think, one of the headlines of the day. Thank you. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. We're with you till 9 o'clock. We're with you from 6 to 9. If you're new to the show, we stream live video on a number of platforms, including AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook page, Ticket 760's Facebook page. We do it through Twitch. I see some people joined us via Twitch this morning. We do it through YouTube as well. You can always dial us up when we don't have a guest, and we just had one in the previous segment. Our thanks to the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. But when we don't have a guest, you are welcome to join us on the phone lines. The phone number, 800-707-9760, 800-707-9760. And Shannon, I do want to go back and listen to it one more time just because it's beautiful and he nailed it. And Charles Barkley last night during the TNT broadcast in a game which Anthony Davis had missed yet another game for the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Lakers paid the price as the Phoenix Suns annihilated them by 30 points, 115-85. Charles Barkley bestowed upon Anthony Davis a nickname, and Shannon and I do believe this nickname will have staying power. Here is Charles Barkley last night.
Anthony Davis, I told you, the Lakers can't win this series. Forget about the championship. They can't win this series without street clothes.
Not even. You want to explain that?
I call him Anthony Street Clothes Davis because he's always in street clothes.
You ain't got to explain it, Chuck.
I love Shaq. You ain't got to explain it, Chuck. I mean, Shaq's like right there with, and that's coming from a Laker alum who won rings with the Lakers. When Shaq says, you ain't got to explain it, Chuck, that Shaq saying spot on. Dude, his name is Anthony Street Clothes Davis. Shannon, just remember June 1st, 2021, when that name was coined. I think it's going to follow him not only throughout his career, but you mentioned Hall of Fame induction speech. If he gets into the Hall of Fame, it's going to come up.
I know. Bill mentioned, it's kind of a dig, right, that he would get called that because he is injured. It's not like he's, typically fair weather, but he has become known as like, will he, won't he, due to these injuries. And Street Clothes is pretty spot on. I don't know how you can get any better. I think the only thing Anthony Davis can do now is work on being as healthy as possible and starting his own clothing line.
Wow. And you're right. You said this in the 6 o'clock hour, and I totally agree with you. If there's something like that, you can't duck it. You can't fight it. He needs to embrace it and start his own Street Clothes clothing line. I'm going to have to look into it. I might do this during the day and overnight. We've talked about sports nicknames before. In fact, I think last year we did a bracket. We did like a 64 nickname bracket, and people voted on it to determine the greatest sports nickname ever. But what we did was like great sports nicknames. So, like Dick Night Train Lane. But in the case of Street Clothes, I wonder how many like negative nicknames there are. Kyle Anderson, who plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, used to play for the San Antonio Spurs. Kyle Anderson's nickname is Slow-Mo because he moves so slowly. And when the Spurs drafted Kyle Slow-Mo Anderson, I was thinking to myself, do you really want to draft a player in the NBA whose nickname is Slow-Mo? So I want to do see what other negative sports nicknames there are out there. I can't think of many. I remember, I think of it. This isn't really that negative because he once played barefoot way back in the day, and he became part of the Black Sox legend, and he's featured in the movie Field of Dreams. Shoeless Joe Jackson. He got the nickname once because he had to play and he forgot his shoes at a baseball game. So he played barefoot, and he earned the nickname Shoeless Joe Jackson. And you get a nickname and you're an athlete, and that nickname is going to be good. But Anthony Davis leads, I believe, and we'll do some research on negative nicknames in sports. That's not good.
I mean,
what about Shaq being the big Aristotle?
The big Aristotle is one.
Kind of saying weird things.
So
he gets it. He's the one who said, you don't need to explain.
Glenn Davis, big baby.
Big baby, Glenn Davis.
But I think he secretly loved it.
Oh, I think he liked it too.
He learned to embrace it. But originally, I'll bet you whoever said, hey, he looks like a big baby. I'm sure the first person to lay that on him probably meant it as a dig.
Right. I mean, he's still throwing temper tantrums. I mean, he did one last week when Kyrie jumped on the Celtics logo or whatever. He's still throwing it. And then Kevin Durant fired back at him. So he's still living up to that name in his post-playing career.
One of my favorites, and it's obscure, but I'll never forget it, when Mike Leach was fired at Texas Tech because he had that wide receiver named Adam James, who was the son of Craig James, broadcaster at SMU, running back, backfield partner of Anthony Dickerson, Eric Dickerson. So Adam James was, he made him go sit in a shed, in an equipment shed, because he was kind of slacking during practice. So at the time, Adam Pac-Man Jones was playing with the Cowboys. People started calling Adam James Adam Slackman James. So instead of Pac-Man Jones, he was Adam Slackman James. I don't think you want to be known as Slackman if you're a wide receiver for Texas Tech.
Or Big Country.
Big Country, yes.
Being called country can be derogative occasionally.
True. Who was I remember that big.
Bryant Reeves,
Big Country. Yeah.
Played for Oklahoma, I think.
I think so. So there's not a lot of negative nicknames. So it's not a good day for Anthony Davis. And if you're Anthony Davis, you want to play. He was the unibrow. When he first came into the league, Anthony Davis was the unibrow.
being advertised for the upcoming Space Jam as the brow.
See? So, and again, that's something, when you've got a unibrow, it's normally not, people are not looking at you going, wow, that's cool. It's like, it's a little freaky. So, but he embraced it. So so he's going to have to do this once again with street clothes. Oh man. Charles Barkley, Luisa Alanis, the refrigerator, William, the refrigerator Perry. Yes. He was so big. And as a football player, like Randy White was the manster, part man, part monster. He was the manster. If you're a football player, yes, you want to be the manster on defense. Do you want to be the refrigerator? Hey, it's William the refrigerator Perry. And he embraced it though. So anyway, that's my new quest is to compile a list and maybe find the best, worst, negative, derogatory sports nickname ever. And I think the leader in the clubhouse is Anthony Street Clothes Davis.
I hope that should he not play in the next game, some designer reaches out to him and is like, will you wear our clothes while you're on court side? Well, and
and he's got to he's got to be dying because he wants to play. And when he plays, even in this series, he scored 30 and 15, and the Lakers have won when he's played at full strength. So now here he is wanting to play. Now you've got the derogatory nickname Street Clothes, and you're right. He might not be able to play in Game 6. And if he doesn't play in Game 6, good chance the Lakers are going to lose that game.
And I think part of it too is, Charles had a run with Phoenix, and obviously Phoenix is who's playing the Lakers. Charles never won a ring. AD has a ring with the Lakers.
Ooh.
On top of just calling it like it is, and AD's always in street clothes.
And you got to wonder that silently, is Charles Barkley pulling for the Phoenix Suns to win the title? Obviously he moved on from Phoenix to the Houston Rockets at one point, and originally with the Philadelphia 76ers. But you wonder if, does he want DeAndre Ayton and this new generation of Phoenix Suns to be able to bring to the city of Phoenix what he was unable to deliver? So I didn't think about that. That's an interesting question. On Facebook Live from YouTube, Steve Mongo McMichael. Steve McMichael, a lineman with the Chicago Bears back in the 85 Bears day, known as Mongo, who was a character played by Alex Karras in the movie Blazing Saddles. Anthony Huerta is saying, and I don't know who this is, Pig Miller. Somebody named Miller. It's not Reggie Miller, is it? Who got the name Pig? Pig Miller. I don't know who Pig Miller was. But yeah, when your nickname is Pig, that's probably not endearing. Hey, Pig. Hey, how you doing, Pig? Let's throw the ball to Pig. Pig Miller.
Yeah.
Probably
Unless
not.
You were like a football player and short for pigskin. And
now that's, yeah.
But that's a lot of dots you have to connect at that point.
So, big game tonight, Shannon, and I've never pulled more, nor might I ever again, for the Dallas Mavericks as I have in this series against the Clippers and Mr. Kawhi Leonard. Series is tied at 2-2. Staples Center tonight. It's a late game. Tip-off after 9. It's the second half of a TNT doubleheader, so it's listed at 9 o'clock. That could mean tip-off might not be till 9:20. So how you feeling? We don't know the status of Luka Doncic at this hour, but how you feeling about and you were pessimistic when it was 2-0 Mavericks. I got to believe you're ready to go fishing with the Mavericks at this point.
Yeah, I don't love it. Vegas has shown me the line is 7 in favor of the Clippers, and Vegas always seems to know.
7. Come on, Mavericks. Shock the world. Shock the world.
The Knicks are looking at a 1.5 point favorite here, which is okay.
And they can be eliminated. The Knicks won that one game at Madison Square Garden, and the fans acted like they won the title. And they're down 3-1 to Atlanta right now. That's your early TNT game. Atlanta at the Knicks at 6:30 tonight on TNT.
Yeah. And then the 76ers favored by 6 and the Jazz favored by 9.5, just to finish that out for all you betting people out there.
That's probably going to happen. And of course, we mentioned the Houston Astros got a big win yesterday. They've won 3 in a row. They beat the Boston Red Sox 5-1. Jose Altuve, a leadoff home run. He's done that a lot lately. He's already done that 3 times this season, and we're just starting June. The pitcher for the Astros last night, Luis Garcia, went 7 innings. That is a career high for him. I want to check. I think the Astros, I know they've got a day game coming up this week. I'm going to see if that's today. And of course, I hit the wrong button on the schedule. So now the schedule will come up. The Astros, no, that's a night game tonight. So it must be a day game tomorrow. 7 o'clock tonight, Minute Maid Park. Framber Valdez on the mound for the Astros, as the Astros will go for 4 in a row and hopefully beat the Red Sox again tonight. That would be beautiful. Woo! A poll question, Shannon, was motivated by the Lakers-Phoenix series. What do we got there?
Yes, asking, with the Lakers now on the brink of elimination, how will the series versus the Suns play out? We've got 47% now voting for Suns in 6, 34% saying Suns in 7, and just 17 saying Lakers in 7.
Only 17% give the Lakers a chance. You went Suns in 6. I go Suns in 7. I think the Lakers win game 6. There'll be a little drama, be a fun game 7 to watch in Phoenix. And then I think Phoenix is going to tear the hearts out of Laker fans everywhere.
I love it. I think a lot of people will be Team Phoenix if that happens. Anyone who doesn't have any skin left in the game, I think will go to Team Phoenix. And Chris Paul.
It will be nice to see new blood. Please, someone stop Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. That's all I'm asking.
I think we're going to have to wait a little longer.
Do not give me Clippers versus Brooklyn. KD versus
next would be
Kawhi.
what? Clippers versus Suns if the Suns win this one.
True. Yeah.
Don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know either. Going to be interesting. All right. Enjoy the NBA playoffs tonight. Astros Boston, 7 o'clock first pitch at Minute Maid Park. Shannon, outstanding as always. We'll do this again in 21 hours.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You as well.
Thank you so much. Dave Ayler, great job.
Thank you. Do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do this again tomorrow. Our thanks to the great Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Love talking hoops with him. Be safe on this Wednesday. Have yourself an outstanding Wednesday. We will see you in 21 hours. Go Mavericks. Beat Kawhi. Adios, amigos.